Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining today's session on boosting loyalty and reputation with rewards, reviews, and referrals. I'm Rachel, a product training specialist at Wellness Living, and I'm delighted to introduce our guest, Kim Hannon from Zucchino Float Center in Salt Cave. Kim has successfully built a client loyalty program using Wellness Living over the past 6 years, and today she will share effective strategies, practical tips, and insights directly from her experience. Then we'll do a Q&A before wrapping up. So send your questions again in the Q&A, and I will pass it over to Kim.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I am very excited to share a little bit of information today about how Wellness Living has really helped my businesses. So I decided one day that I was going to open a float center. And if you're not familiar with float therapy, I highly recommend checking that out. But that's not what we're really talking about today. But I decided to open a float center. And we started looking for a software program that would help us with all of our booking needs. But one of my biggest needs was for something that would help me with marketing. I am also a marketer by nature. And through the process of opening my float center, I started getting a ton of requests from other float centers asking me to help them with their marketing. And so while I was under construction for my float center, I accidentally opened a consulting business in 2018 called Mindful Solutions and started my journey into the wellness world really on the marketing side of things while I was working on building my own wellness center. Later that same year in November, I did open my first location. We've been open there at Zucchino Float Center in Salt Cave for about 6.5 years. And I have recently opened a second location that is an express wellness location, adding additional services to our offerings, but in technically two separate buildings, about a half mile apart. Um, but one of the biggest things for me was making sure that we could use a ton of marketing tools and everything that I knew so passionately that I wanted to include about running our business. And so today I'm going to be talking a little bit about specifically how we use rewards and how we build loyalty with our rewards program, and then how we also leverage the reviews process that Wellness Living has, as well as some third-party options that we bring in. And so I wanted to share a little bit about just, what we're going to be covering today is talking a little about how we kind of turn happy clients into our biggest advocates who are going to help us to bring in new customers. We'll talk a little bit about how to design your retention program using these tools specifically related to rewards and reviews, how to set that up in Wellness Living, and then how to promote that once you've got everything set up and ready to go. First, I want to talk a little bit about like what loyal customers really are, what that means. There we go. So the loyal folks are the ones who are going to make your jobs so much easier. And building loyalty requires effort from a lot of different directions. You start building rapport the very first time they come to your website, when they're on your booking sites, if they make a phone call to book an appointment. All of those are pieces that we often don't think about, but you're starting to build the relationship at that point. Of course, we continue that whenever they come into your business. And as we get to know our customers, we start to build relationships, really understanding our clients and hopefully becoming members. And they start to tell their friends about us. And we get that a lot. I'm sure you get that in your businesses as well. But referrals, I feel like, are one of those things that we all say we get. We do pretty okay with it, but we could do way better. And what I want to share with you today is some tips on how to do way better of getting your loyal people to refer a lot more folks your way, especially when our marketing dollars might be a little bit more stretched or limited even in the current economic conditions. The really great thing is that once you've built that sense of loyalty, generally speaking, those folks are going to spend a lot more money with you. And one of my favorite things is they are way more forgiving if there are ever any mistakes, whether that is something that your team says, if it's failed equipment, whatever the case may be. Folks who already know you are loyal to you and really excited to be using your services, and they're much, much more forgiving just because they've already seen how great you are, and they'll be a little more able to look past anything that might not be quite the great experience. There's a slight delay on my end, so I'm just trying to get to my notes here. Sorry about that. There we go. Thank you. When we think about how we shop in 2025, it is a very different world than what it was even just a few years ago. If you think about the purchases that you make now, I would say outside of maybe the grocery store, almost everything we buy, if there's any sort of an online component, whether it's booking or sending in things, even the grocery stores actually have reviews now. But we look for feedback before we make any kind of big purchases or sometimes even small purchases. I know personally, I won't buy a pair of shoes without looking to see what other people have had to say about it. And so if you think about how important it is, no matter what your business is, people really want to see that other folks have tried your service or your product, that they believe in it, and that they've had a good experience with that. And so you've got to be really intentional about how you are designing that program, and really leveraging it once you do start to get some of those reviews coming in. So one of the most common ways, of course, is Google reviews. And I will be honest, I did not put a lot of stock in Google reviews initially. At the moment, you see on the screen here that one of my locations only has 84 reviews. It just wasn't a priority for us. I am really lucky that I run a float center, and many of you are probably scratching your heads trying to figure out what that is. But floating is one of those things that whenever you experience it, naturally people go out and talk about that experience. They share about it on social media. And so it has always had this organic component. However, in order to continue to grow, we've started really putting a little bit more effort behind getting some Google reviews. And I'll share a few things in a little bit that how we've started to do that. But your Google business profile is one of the most valuable pieces, or one of the most valuable tools in your marketing arsenal. So if you're not using it, if you are getting ready to open, no matter what your business is, or if you've recently opened and you haven't claimed your business profile, do that first thing. It is so, so crucial. It's going to help you in so many ways to really get the word out about what you're doing. And it's creating this social proof that we all look for when we're making purchases, whenever we're deciding how to spend our hard-earned dollars. So let's talk a little bit about how to design your retention program and reinforce all of these positive habits that are your guests or your clients are demonstrating. And I have a hard time saying customers or clients. At my businesses, we call them guests or members. So I'm going to use those phrases kind of interchangeably. I recognize that Wellness Living calls them clients whenever you're looking in the system. So I have to kind of go back and forth on that language. Here we go. There we go. So you want to start by defining your goals. Figure out what is it that your business needs. And that could be increasing the number of client visits. You may get somebody in the door and you want them to come back repeatedly. It could be improving satisfaction with the services that they're receiving. Maybe you're looking to really increase word of mouth and have more people out there talking about you. Obviously, one of the goals that we should all have is to boost revenue. And so really think about what it is. What happens a lot of times when we start to try to implement a rewards program or start looking for more reviews is we just say, I need to do this. I need to launch this. Here are all these different functions and features, and I'm going to launch it all. But take a moment to slow down and figure out exactly what it is that you need to accomplish. And once you've created those goals, you can build a much better program and a much better campaign to support that program, because you know exactly what it is that you're trying to see as your outcome. So figure out, it might not make sense for you to use rewards at your business. We launched it probably within the first few months, but we didn't do that right off the bat. We really wanted to focus on getting our process down, on really understanding, our standard operating procedures. And while rewards felt like they were going to be important for us, we felt like we really needed to hold off just a little bit before we launched those. Do you want to include any kind of piece engaging your clients in any certain way? Do you need to look for social proof and really encourage reviews? And in most of us really do, especially if you're in a highly competitive market. I have the benefit of being the only float center in my area. There are some, I'm in Southern Indiana, and there are some that are located across the bridge from us, but that's a 25 to 30-minute drive away. And then you also want to look to see if you should do a referral program specifically, not just rewards. And we're going to talk about those. They can be interchangeable, and it's a very strong strategy to use both. But you might be able to do just a referral program without the rewards and figure out a way to do that. I like to incorporate both, and I'll show you how we incorporate both. All right. So then you want to start really developing your strategy. What is it that you need to draw attention to? Um, it could be something as simple as I have this new service and I really want people to try this new service and ease up a little bit of the attention on my other services. It could be something like you have a ton of retail products available that you want to get moving, but the inventory isn't moving. And so you want to get attention to that. It could be, increasing frequency of visits. It could be a lot of things, but you really want to figure out what is the heart of what you're trying to solve. We don't launch rewards programs or ask for reviews for the sake of having a rewards program or having reviews. There's got to be an end outcome to that. So start to figure out what tactic are you going to start with all at once? Do you want to roll out a little bit at a time? Maybe you introduce rewards at a very small scale, or maybe you want to focus on getting reviews first. Maybe you use rewards in order to get those reviews. And you also want to think about what do you want to exclude from your program. So there might be some, say, high value services that you already feel like are doing really well. And it wouldn't make sense for you to offer, say, a prize of a discount on that service because it's already doing well. You don't want to detract from that. Or you could have maybe low inventory on something that you would use as a prize, and you don't want to draw more attention to that. So think about what you do want and what you don't want as well. And if you have questions as we're going along, feel free to drop those in the chat. We are going to do some Q&A at the end, but we're going to be covering a lot of ground in the strategy and the setup, and then really kind of get into the nitty gritty of how everything works. So as you're thinking about developing your strategy, I want to share a little about what we do at my location. At Tsukino, we really want to focus on promoting multiple services. At my original location, we had 3 services. And then whenever I opened a second location, I actually pulled one of those away. So we're back down to 2 services at my original location with 8 at my second location. And so what we're finding is that we really need to get the folks who love our original 2 to go try the new ones at the other location. We love it when people bring friends, and that just enhances their experience. They're going to have a great time personally and get a lot of benefit out of the services, but it's even more so when they bring someone else with them. And so we encourage people to bring friends. And so we do a lot of things that are going to help encourage that. We also want to educate people on their options. We have a lot of services that are sort of less common, vibroacoustic therapy, float therapy, halo therapy. And depending on the part of the world that you're in, you might be very familiar with those, but you might have never heard of some of them. And so for our business, we need to do a lot of education on the services themselves. But even beyond that, the services that we offer also allow you to really customize your experience. And there's a lot of things that we can do to really make it a tailored personal experience. For example, changing the suite colors in the changing room. If you're coming in to float with us, we can change that to any color that you'd like. We have tools that are available, and there are things that we don't necessarily offer to everyone because it feels overwhelming. But as we're getting to know our guests, we can make those recommendations to try some additional things. In order to move that conversation forward, though, we needed to do something, and I'll share you what that something is, but we needed to do something that really helps people to know there's a lot you don't know yet. We're going to get there, but we want you to be curious about it now and ask us, and for them to engage in that conversation versus us sort of data dumping about everything. I also mentioned we have retail products. We have a pretty decent selection at both of our locations. The second one really does have a much stronger storefront. And with Wellness Living, it has the built-in point of sale system, which is absolutely wonderful. We've been able to also set up memberships and certain passes and things that allow us to offer discounts based on the client type. And we want to really leverage those discounts as well as just leveraging the power of moving some unwanted inventory. Sometimes we have products that we think are going to sell well and they just sit on the shelf. And I want to make sure that those are moving and not taking up all of my valuable retail space. And so we use the rewards program to help us to move some of that inventory. One of the really big pieces for us, part of our core values, is to be able to give back to our community. And it is really important to us to have ways that we're giving back to the community. And I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the more unique options that we do for that. But we use Wellness Living to help us with that in a couple of different ways. And then one of our most recent goals was really to encourage more reviews and to ask for more Google reviews, especially as we've opened our second location and getting that social proof and kind of establishing ourselves for search engine optimization is really, really an important piece. So let's pause right here. And Samantha is going to lead us through Rachel's going to lead us through a fun little poll.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Kim. So for the poll, we had a question, which is, as a client, what drives you the most to continue engaging with the business? So is it positive client reviews, word of mouth recommendations, business replies in response to feedback, client recognition on the business's social media? And while you were answering that, Kim, I have a question for you. Can you share one of your favorite ways to use the Wellness Living marketing suite to stay connected with your clients?
Oh, geez. I don't know if I can pick my favorite,
Okay.
but I will say I think one of the biggest differentiators and underutilized features within Wellness Living is all of the automated marketing emails.
Yeah.
There are so many that you can set up based on visit campaigns, purchase option campaigns. And we've been able to really kind of segment a lot of our clients based on their activity. For example, if somebody comes in and they experience their first float with us, we have an offer, an intro offer, where if before they leave, they purchase their second float, we give them the third float for free. Well, some people need a little time to think about that. And so we don't want to let that offer fall away. And most people are not going to go home and call. So we send them
Mhm.
a text message a few hours after they left. If they don't have another purchase option on their account, we automatically send a text message and an email saying, hey, you know what? Think about it. You're probably going to sleep amazing tonight. And if you wake
Right.
up in the morning and you want to take advantage of this offer, we'll still honor it for up to 24 hours. So all of that is automated. And I do that for all kinds of things, giving member tips, getting people to come back in. Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. You're probably ready for a float. So all of the automated marketing messages are probably like my absolute favorite. So,
That's awesome. I love the strategy of that text message. It has that little urgency to it, but it's kind of gentle.
yes, yes. And what we've learned in 6.5 years is that people really do need kind of deadlines and
Yeah.
urgency, even just to come in. And over the years, we've kind of changed some of our strategies about even expiration dates, where before it was like, oh, you paid for it, you can use it anytime. And
Right.
we've learned that people are busy. And
Yes, yes,
so
yes. They
we've
need
used
that nudge.
You got it. So we've used all of the functions within Wellness Living to put some deadlines, but also be able to communicate proactively with people, use those automated reminders, emails, and text messages. And then we also get to the point if they still haven't used it and they're 2 weeks out, we'll pick up the phone and go old school and call.
I love that. Okay.
So,
I like that personal touch.
mhm.
All right. So let's see if we have the poll results. So most people said word of mouth recommendations, which That doesn't surprise me that much because even though we are in the world of tech, people still go by like if my friend tells me to do it, I'm gonna do it. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So that kind of leads us into the next piece is how we're getting reviews coming from our clients. So there are a couple of different ways that you can utilize reviews within Wellness Living and some of the other tools and how to integrate them into third party. So I want to talk about that for a moment. You may have heard of it already, but again, this is one of those sort of lesser known features. But Wellness Living actually has an Explorer. It's essentially a directory that's available for anyone to use. If you think of it kind of like Yelp or TripAdvisor, it's basically a site where you can go to plan your wellness instead of planning all of these kind of tourism visits and things. So if you're not familiar with it, Wellness Living's Explorer listing, it's out there and you should go customize your profile on there. A lot of information pulls through automatically for you. But one of the really cool things here, you can see that I have 142 reviews listed here. And so these are reviews that have been coming in through Wellness Living, not those Google reviews that I referenced earlier. And so this can help if you're in a market where a lot of businesses are using Wellness Living and people are using this Explorer listing. The more reviews you have and the better those reviews are, the higher you're going to rank in those search results for people who are using Wellness Living and are using this directory. And the reviews that you're getting in Wellness Living don't have to just be stuck there. They actually do help with SEO, search engine optimization. And so those can show up as sort of in, if people are searching for your business, they'll show up in Google results as well. But I want to show you a little bit about how to really leverage those in Wellness Living and give them life outside of the Explorer listing and outside of just your native directory too. Um, Let me switch us over here. So one of the things that I have on my website is the review widget. And so all of those reviews that are coming in through Wellness Living, because we have an automated email that asks them for reviews, all of those reviews come into Wellness Living, and then I don't want them to just stay there. I want to be able to leverage that in those search results, but I also embedded the widget into my website. I actually have a page that is just /reviews. And this is completely embedded here. There's even an option for people to be able to just write their own review right from there, which is really handy. And so if you go into your setup menu and you go into the widgets in Wellness Living, you'll find code that you can just simply copy and paste the HTML code, the embed code into your website. It's a very, very easy process. It shows up nicely there. It defaults to showing you your most recent reviews. And you can see that I have 142 there, which is pretty awesome. Um, I also wanted to take that kind of a step further, though, and take some of those reviews that people have put there and that I'm now showing on my website on the reviews page and draw more attention to some specific things. So you'll see here that I've taken some of those, copied them out, and placed them on other pages just to continue layering that social proof. If you think about what we just said, everybody loves to see that, someone else has recommended this. And this just helps your end clients to be able to see this and say, oh, this really helped this person. It's probably going to help me too. And a project I'm working on right now is actually revamping my entire website. And one of the things I'm going to be doing is taking these reviews that were submitted through Wellness Living and pulling certain ones that are specific to certain services. And as we put information about each service on our website, it will also have reviews that people have left specifically related to that service. So we're sprinkling that social proof all over the information that we're providing as well. So just another way to make sure that you're leveraging those reviews. They're also wonderful to share on social media. So just do a simple graphic. It can be, your brand colors. It can be an image. It's great if you have an actual photo of the guest or the client who has said that, and copy and paste that text into a social media post. You could create videos with it on Canva. There are lots of ways that you can kind of repurpose all of the wonderful things that people are saying about you, and to be able to take what is being provided through Wellness Living and get it into other places to continue bringing in new clients based on what your most loyal folks are already saying about you. Wrong one. There we go. So if you've never managed reviews in Wellness Living, it's very, very easy. If you think about third-party sites, typically you're going to get an email when you get a review. The same is true for Wellness Living. If someone reviews you, you can make sure that you have your email enabled. And then to access those reviews, if you go into the app drawer, which is the little Wellness Living logo in the top left corner, and then you may have to click under the view all, but there's going to be a menu option there for reviews. And you can see everything listed there. You can see some of the reviews that we received here, and then you can also see the business reply. What's wonderful, if you scroll over a little bit more to the right, there's a little menu there where you can go in and edit your review. You can even mark them as featured if you'd like to, and that will promote that to the top. So just some little handy tricks there for you. Uh, One thing that I strongly encourage, though, is responding to reviews. It is so easy to just let that fall to the wayside, especially as uh, business leaders. There are so many ways to occupy your time, and it feels like responding to reviews is just one of those things you really don't have to do. I assure you that is complete opposite is true. Um, Responding to every review does a couple of things. Number one, it lets the person who sent you that message, lets them know that you value their time and that you're grateful for them. It's kind of the equivalent of walking up to somebody and saying, I like your shirt. And then you just turn around and walk away. We don't want to ignore people. They're giving you a compliment. Leverage that. Say thank you. Try to tie in something personal if you can. In this case, I didn't know this person, but one of the things that I really, really try to do is make sure that I tie back to the conversation so that there's some little things that they know if I was the one that helped them or if one of my team members helped them. We try to make sure that the response isn't just a thanks for the 5 stars. Give something that is a little more meaningful to them. Um, if you get a negative review, or if you get a review where they're leaving your any kind of criticism or constructive criticism whatsoever, that's also a very valuable time for you to respond with caution. Oftentimes, it feels like we're trying to respond to that person, and sometimes we get really defensive with our businesses and want to prove that we're right and they're wrong. When you're responding to a review online, most often the strategy that you should employ is really about what are other people going to think when they read this response. I have loved businesses before and seen how they've responded to a negative review, and it is a complete turnoff. It is something just to watch how you're responding. Thank them for sharing the time. Let them know you want to call and talk through it with them. You don't have to do everything, and you don't have to spill all the tea on the reply itself. You can take that back to a real live conversation if it's someone that you have their contact information. But remember that when you're responding, your response isn't just for the person who posted it. It is more often for all the other people who are going to be reading it. Let's see here. So when you're setting up your reward categories, there are a lot of different categories, and we're going to tie this back into those reviews here in just a moment. You can set up points, and we just showed you a kind of a small portion here. If you want to explore this in your system, go into that app drawer, the top left corner, and then go to view all rewards, and there are going to be 3 menu options there. You want to select the one that is for enabling points, and you determine how many points you want to give for attendance. You can determine for purchases, for posting rewards, for social sharing. There's also profile milestones and referrals. And so you have all of these different sort of categories. And if you're not sure, just start with one. See how that goes. Add points just for people showing up. One thing to be aware of, though, if you are giving points for attendance, like what I have here on the screen, these are cumulative. And so what that means is if someone books online, I'm giving them 10 points. You'll see that I set a max of 240 per year. Or 240 points per year, so 24 times, just thinking about on average, how often are my people coming in? Um, and I could raise that, and I probably will now that I have two locations. And my second location is one of those places you'd probably visit a little more frequently than my first. You also can give points for just attending a specific number of services each day, week, or month, and per year. And when you do that, it's going to continue to add. So be thoughtful of that as if you're thinking about adding kind of this stacking point system like I have. If they come in one time, they're going to get that 40 points immediately. If they come in a second time that same week, we're going to give them an additional 20 points. And if they come in again anytime within that same month, we're going to give them an additional 20 points there. So they're getting, instead of just 40 points or 20 points for all of them, they're going to end up with 80 points. This was something that I didn't realize when we first launched. And so I had to go back and tweak that and reduce those, because I was thinking if they attend 2 services a month, I want to give them 40 points. If they attend 3 services a month, then I want to give them 60 points. And thinking of it that way, but it actually happens every time the activity occurs. It's going to stack and add on. It's not an either or. I hope that's clear. But you can use that to your advantage, that, the more they're coming in, the more points you're giving them. But you also have the ability to put a cap with that kind of annual. You can also put a cap for each week or month, however you want to work it, to be able to ensure that you're giving points, but maybe you're not giving away a ton of points. All right, so whoops, I think I may have one of the categories that was in here is referrals. And if you remember earlier, I mentioned that we want to really encourage referrals. That was one of our strategic goals for this year. And so we give points just for telling us somebody else's name and email address. They get 20 points for that. And then if that person, the referred friend, comes in and makes specific purchases, for example, signing up for memberships or purchasing certain passes, we give them additional points for that, the person who referred them. And that's really cool that Wellness Living can recognize, not just to give a referral point, but to also say, if that person I referred gets a certain thing, I get more points. So that's a really, really cool feature that I recommend utilizing, because then you've got your loyal folks saying, hey, go visit this place. And they're also going to recommend sign up for this membership, and they get additional points for doing so. You can also schedule or to award points if giving reviews, and there are a couple of different things to do for online reviews. Now, I want to point out that when you log in, you're probably not going to see a category that just says online reviews. That is something that I was able to customize. If you look on that screenshot, you can see that little pencil icon. You can change the category names for some of these so that it's more clear about what you want to be included there. And so I created this category for online reviews. And you'll notice that these are not the ones for Wellness Living. I do have points that I give for Wellness Living reviews. However, I also want to give points outside of Wellness Living. And all of the other all of the other rewards points are typically automated. If someone buys this product, it's going to give them these points, and Wellness Living does all of that for us. But I also wanted to encourage some additional reviews beyond just what was happening in the native system. So these are kind of custom points, and we'll talk about custom rewards in a moment. But these custom points, I said I want them to post a Google review, and that we're going to add points within 3 business days, just to set that, right up front. I want to let people know it's not automatic, because what we found, because we had this in here, someone would go post a review, they didn't get their points, so they posted another review and still didn't get their points, so they posted another review. And that was really frustrating for them. And so I'm all about removing frustration. So I just wanted to be really clear that it's going to take us a little bit to get to this, because it is a manual process. And if it's a manual process, I'll show you in a moment. I forgot. We've got another little point I want to make before we get to that. But for those manual ones, you just verify and click a quick button. It's super, super easy. So don't feel like it's something that you're going to have to track. Schedule yourself a reminder, and it's really easy. And then once you've set up all of your points, you'll want to go through and set up all of the redeemable prizes. There we go. You can give away just about anything, honestly. You can set up free services. You can give away percentages or discounts and they dollar discounts. You can give away purchase options. You can even create your own custom prizes. And what you see on the screen is 100%, but you don't have to do that. If you want to give somebody 50% off of a book, you have that option. So you can use points to give discounts, and that's a great way to reward loyalty instead of just putting things on sale. You can say, hey, since you've been with us or you've had 10 visits this month, you get half off of this product if you're interested. So using that in your language as well is going to help to kind of reinforce that the notion that you're grateful for your customers. So here are some of those products I mentioned that we wanted to move. We've got a couple of books. They just aren't selling. We accidentally ordered too many mugs. I want to get rid of those. And rather than just giving them away, I'm using points to do that. One of my favorite things is down at the bottom of the screen. For 2,000 points, we have a custom donation where we allow our guests to tell us what local charity they want to support, and we'll submit a $50 donation in their name. And so that is one of those custom manual prizes. Instead of selecting something that's loaded in Wellness Living, we just wait until we get that email and then we contact that person or we have a conversation with them. And if we're in person and just say, what do you want to support? And people love it. We love doing it. It's really a win-win for the community and it supports our goal of giving back to the community. So when you're looking at someone's profile, there's a lot of data that you can use to really understand how frequently someone is visiting, to also be able to give them, a reminder that they have these rewards points. Sometimes people forget about it. And so my team tries to make sure that as our guests are leaving, and we're a fully appointment-based business, so we don't have just drop-ins a lot. We do have them at one of my locations, but we're always asking people if they want to schedule their next visit. And in that conversation, we also try to sometimes say, hey, by the way, did you know you have 4,000 rewards points? And sometimes they don't know what those are. And so it generates that conversation to say, well, for everything you've been doing and all the people you've referred, you have all of these points that you can redeem for discounts or free products or services. And people are really excited to hear that. And you get all of the data just at a glance about how many lifetime visits they've had. And at the bottom of the page on the profile, there's a little activity section, and that shows you all of the points that they're earning. So if you're not paying attention to it, it's there and it's super, super easy. You can even go into that activity section and change the dates or manually add or remove points from there. So really easy. Again, that's just under activity. If you cancel an appointment that you gave points for, Wellness Living automatically removes them. You don't have to worry about that. It's all automated. But say somebody comes in and they made an announcement. They tell you that they made an announcement at work, and you just want to give them a little extra thank you. You can just go here and just click on any of this and click add points, whatever it is, and then throw in whatever points feel right to you. And then we use contact notes, and we would just log a note that says, I gave Sally 100 points because she told everybody about us at her work meeting today. You can also then use those rewards in many different ways. Your clients can redeem them online, and I'll show you Achieve in a moment, but this is the easiest way to do it. And this is something that my team does. If we have a guest who purchases a product and that product is eligible for the points to be redeemed for either the discount or the free version of it, it actually automatically shows up at the bottom of your cart, and it'll be available rewards just like what you see here, and the reward will show up for you to select. You just click apply and it'll zero out the balance that's due, and then you complete that checkout process. It is the easiest way to do it for any of those rewards. One thing to know, if you have multiple items that are eligible, you do need to complete those in separate transactions. That's easy enough versus selecting multiple products. But and especially if people are getting them for free, they're usually not too sad about having to wait an extra couple of seconds. Now, if your guests are using Achieve, you can easily access this. Just log into Achieve, go to the bottom right corner where it says More. And then there's an option that all the menu items will show up. And if you click on rewards, it immediately tells you how many total points you have, tells you your place on the leaderboard if you're running a long-time leaderboard. I love this menu where if you click earn points, it takes you to what you see in that second screenshot. And this is an interactive menu, so people can literally click on it and do exactly what it's telling, and the system will give them the rewards points immediately. If they go into that third menu option, though, for redeem prizes, they can also see all of the things that are listed and just click redeem. And then we have an automated email set up. So as soon as we see that come in, we prepare whatever, if it's a product, we prepare it for them, or we'll get them scheduled for a service or whatever the case may be, depending on their selection. So you can customize those those client notifications, and we have staff notifications. But if you go under setup, notifications, client notifications, there's a whole section there just for rewards points. And you can customize the email that your client is going to receive. And so we just let everybody know, like, hey, if it's a product, we're going to call you to let you know when it's ready for you to pick up. And if it's for appointments, just go ahead and schedule it. So really, really easy. Customize that to whatever process you want to implement at your business. And the leaderboard is one of the things that you saw in that screenshot from Achieve. The leaderboard will just continue running, and you can see some of my clients have been with us for a long time, and they have, almost 10,000 points. And at the top of that, if you remember earlier, I mentioned that I give I give rewards points if someone posts a review to an external site, and I need to manually approve those. What happens is when they click that button in Achieve, or if they're logging in online through the client web app, they're requesting points when they push that button, and it shows up at the top of your leaderboard. So to get here, you go through that rewards menu, and on the top of the leaderboard, it shows exactly what it is, what they've requested, and you can either allow it or disallow it. This one was a funny one. When I was pulling this screenshot, I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember a review ever coming in. And supposedly she posted a Facebook review. And you'll see that this was dated March 7th. And I was going to click disallow because I hadn't received that review from her on our page. But then I started digging in and searched for a little bit deeper and found that she actually did it in 2020. It was 5 years ago, but she never requested the points for it. And so this time I allowed it because she had already done that. Now, as far as promoting your program, you can set it and forget it, but you're going to get a lot better results if you take a few minutes to really encourage your folks to sign up to participate in some way. So on the screen, I have a little potpourri of ways that we promote our rewards program. The first one is a simple sign in our retail areas. We've got it strategically placed in a few different spots that just says, check your Sukino rewards points for free products. Really easy. The second one is a little business card. And once someone has set up an account with us and they come in for their first appointment, if they purchase anything to come back, we give them this little card that reminds them to download the Achieve app and that they can use that to schedule their visits, check their credits, track rewards, and shop with our products all through the app. So we also mail this to our members as soon as they sign up. So we're making sure that people know about Achieve and are using that app. The third one you see there, a little teal card that says, hey, friend. That particular one is a referral card. On the back side of it, we list the member's name, and we set up a specific discount code for that member to be able to refer their friends. And we also give their friend, we give the member points if their discount code gets used. And then, of course, the friend who's receiving that gets a deal to come in and see us. And so if they come in and bring that card to us at check-in, we go ahead and make sure that the friend is listed as their referral source, and Wellness Living automatically gives them points for that. If they don't have the card, though, which a lot of people don't, we've told our members, share your discount code far and wide, post it on social media if you want to, and we're directing all of that traffic to our new location. All of the discounts are just at our new location, not our original location. And then we just pull a sales report once a month to go back and see what discount codes were used. And we make sure that points have been awarded for those referrals. And we just go in and edit and add those if needed. One of my favorites is down in the bottom left, Sukino Bingo. We created our own little bingo game, and this is a postcard that we keep throughout our center. And this particular bingo card is very strategic. If you look through each possible bingo line, there's only one opportunity for anything free in each line typically. And almost all of them have at least one purchase that has to be made. Almost all of them are, there has to be a specific visit in there. But this is what I was talking about earlier when I said that we needed to educate our clients on our services, on the benefits, on the ways to customize them. And so we actually created bingo spots for some of the really, really interesting things that they could do. For example, redeeming salty rewards points. We used to call it salty rewards. We now call it Sukino rewards. But redeeming those rewards points, that's a really easy way to just let people know that we have the or the rewards program. We have some in here about, let's see here, purchasing a beverage before you leave or completing 2 services on the same day. Adding an infrared therapy mat in the salt cave. That's one thing that not everybody knows that they could do. And so we use this to educate and to reward them. Once they have bingo, they get to spin our little prize wheel. And then if they complete the entire card, we have separate prizes that we offer for a complete blackout, a full bingo card. Really quick answer to the question, how do you create discount codes for clients? If you go into setup, store settings, discount codes, and we manually create a discount code every time someone signs up for a membership. So it is a manual process, but for us, it's just part of welcoming someone as we're preparing a new member welcome kit. We just take 2 seconds to go do that. We just use their first and last name, really, really easy. And our bingo cards are all over our center. So we leave them in our lounge area. We have them at our front desk. We leave them in our service areas. They're just kind of sprinkled everywhere so that people can have their bingo card. And then we have a custom logo stamp that we had made really easy. You can buy them on Etsy or even Amazon for like $20. And we use that logo stamp. Every time they come in, they can get a single stamp. Then the last one is we use those automated messages. I schedule one to go out to people. I can't remember the exact timing on this one, but it's, like 6 months after they've signed up, just saying, hey, have you checked on your rewards lately? And then they can log in and see exactly how many rewards that they have. So a lot of layering to promote it. And they don't have to do all of these things in order to know that the program exists. Any one of them is going to kind of serve for that educational purpose. As far as requesting reviews, we also do a visit email, and that is the one that is requesting the reviews. It's actually a template that's already set up in Wellness Living. I logged in and used the visual editor and created it my way in my little avatar, but I also updated it to include buttons to each review site, Google, Facebook, Yelp, and our system. And so we send that email to folks after their first visit, just asking for the review. We also have these little cards, the colorful card in the center, please help us to help others. We created QR codes, and these are just laminated cards that we printed up and again sprinkled throughout the locations, and they're in all of our service areas just saying, please help us. And they scan that QR code, post their review, and then we give them points for that. And then my bingo card, I showed that earlier. One of the items on here is to post a review for us. And if they've done that, post a review on Google, we give them a little quick stamp. It's nice and easy there. There are so many different things that you can do with all of this. And one of the things that I recommend if you're just getting started is to use the help center that Wellness Living has. If you go to help.wellnessliving.com, there are a whole bunch of articles in there. They give you step-by-step instructions that show you exactly how to access and set up your points, how to go in and configure those emails, all sorts of things. There are step-by-step instructions for all of that. And of course, the little chat icon down in the bottom left can also help you. Isaac, the little AI bot, can give you advice on how to accomplish certain things or to do some setup as well. I dumped a lot of information on you. There are so many ways to use all of this, and I know I speak fast sometimes, but hopefully you're able to get at least a couple of nuggets. And again, I would recommend don't do everything all at once. Take your favorites, whatever you think is really going to help your business the most, and start small and then slowly build from there.
Thank you so much for everything, Kim. Like, I got nuggets from that. So that brings us to the end of the session for boosting loyalty and reputation, everyone. I hope you're walking away with a clear picture of how Wellness Living can help you build like a strong client loyalty program. So we are going to open it up for questions. So just drop any questions you have in the Q&A, a real quick Q&A.
How long do they have to do the bingo? So we leave it open-ended. We actually launched this bingo campaign a couple of years ago and have decided that we love it. It started as a summer campaign because typically summertime is a little slower for us. And we've just let it sort of be there, and people can use that same bingo card for years if they want to. And we have some folks who actually have an original version and they're still working on their first bingo because they haven't come in as much, but we have others who are coming in really, really frequently and have hit bingo several times and filled up an entire card as well. So when you're creating your own program, though, you set those rules. You're welcome to say, we're only doing bingo for this month, or, think about your strategy and what do you want to accomplish, and create the rules around that. Prizes for the bingo card. We have a prize wheel and we change it up. Sometimes it's a beverage. Sometimes it's a free service. Sometimes it's a t-shirt. It could be a discount. It could be a lot of different things. Sometimes it's that inventory that I really want to get moving, get off my shelves. So it really varies, and we keep updating it just based on what we have on hand, what people are getting excited about. Sometimes it's a gift card to the local coffee shop, or we really try to, change it up and keep it fresh where we can. Let's see, a question from Lori. Does Wellness Living automatically award points when someone writes a review, assuming this is set up in your system only if the review is done through Wellness Living Explorer? So kind of two things to that. One, if the review is coming through Wellness Living, it is technically connected to their client account, and it will automatically give points if they're logged in through their client account. For those external sources like Google, Facebook, Yelp, TripAdvisor, those are the ones that I set up as custom options, custom points that they could earn. And those they can request it, but the system does not automatically give those because Wellness Living has no way of verifying that information for you. And so it's just a quick little thing. It'll show at the top of your leaderboard and you just click allow points.
Thank you. We have another question here. Can you set rewards based on monthly spend rather than services? And the answer for that is yes. We do offer the ability to set rewards based on monthly spend. You can set up a rewards option where clients earn points for each dollar they spend at your business. So this will apply to all purchases, not just specific services. Do we have any other questions? Okay, we are at time. So the recording will be available to everyone who's signed up. So you can come back and watch everything that we went through. If you do have any questions, remember to also go to the Help Center. And you can also reach out to support if you're not finding your answer there. So again, we do want to thank Kim for joining us. Thank you for giving us your time. Yes, you can email Kim if you do have questions at Kim at Mindful Solutions as well. And that's a wrap for today. So again, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks, Kim, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.